So, hi. We're just gonna start this. I'm Rip. This is Jake.
Adam.
Adam. Perfect. That's done. Now we're gonna talk about the new set and I think our experience that we had over the weekend, this past weekend.
Sure, pre-release.
Sure. Yep. So this is to make it clear. This is not before pre-release. This is what
After pre-release.
Wednesday, the
When?
20th of January.
In between pre-release and release.
2016.
Yeah,
So,
the new set,
the new set
Oath,
has
of
not
Ga-
released yet.
the new set Oath of the Gatewatch is coming out this weekend. This video will probably come out after that.
Probably. That's why I'm trying to put some dates in here to make it clear.
Sure, we just did pre-release this past weekend where we were all involved. If you don't know what pre-release is when a new set comes out, the weekend before it, they do a seal tournament where everyone gets random packs and they make a deck out of it and then do a tournament style to win some prizes. It's a lot of fun.
Generally, it's my least favorite version of limited, but that's
My favorite because I'm really good at it.
Well, not only that, but like there's so much randomness to it. You know, you can't build a certain deck of how you want. So you can't like specifically go for your own
Yeah, what's
play
best?
style.
What's best is everyone starts off pretty even. Everyone starts off not knowing what they're gonna get.
yeah,
And
and
depending on deck building skills is what gets you.
well, deck building skills and luck. However, I think that we did see someone struggle with that aspect. They got really lucky, and then they really tried to make
Yeah, they pulled
a little
like
bit too much of
$80
that.
worth of cards and were
Yeah.
still just it was
And they lost. Yeah, they
And
lost.
sometimes we see people with nothing but commons make the best decks because commons make the deck in limited.
Right.
Like, sure, you've got those bomb rare cards, but if you're looking at it and it doesn't synergize with the rest of your cards in your deck, it doesn't fit.
which is basically what Wizard tries to do. It tries to synergize all that one set together, which is
Typically standard and modern are a lot of rare cards, bigger bomb cards that synergize together, but limited, whether draft or sealed, you want to like use those commons, which is what reason they're really printed for.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's one area that is tough for most Magic players who just kind of fall into Magic by their friends. They only get shown rares. You know, they get to a point where you don't even talk about commons anymore, hardly at all, other than maybe cancel or some other basics like that.
Staples.
Yeah, just some staple
staples.
giant growth, whatever. Those we'll see play, but it's kind of a really important point of limited is understanding and knowing how all those cards in the commons really work together.
Yeah, definitely.
So what did you pull, and as far as cards, did you get anything of value?
Originally upon release, I didn't pull anything good. I basically built a deck around commons, uncommons, and I actually did place. Do you remember what I placed? I think 10th place.
No, I think you're in top 8.
I think you were in top 8.
Yeah,
from
it's
what
like
I
top
heard.
eight.
Oh, that's right, because I was in the second tier of prize packs, which I did pull good prizes. But
Yeah, show them your prize.
yeah, I got this. I don't know if you can see it, but it's gonna be foily.
It's one of the new Planeswalkers, Nissa, in the new set. Pulled out of his prize pack.
Nissa, Voice of Zendikar,
Yep.
foil, 1-drop, 2 green.
So I paid the standard price for getting in, which is $25, and I pulled a $50 card. So
Sure, at half value,
Half value.
cash any day of the week.
Exactly.
Sure, you made your money back, and the rest of the cards are pretty much golden. They're yours to keep.
yeah, exactly.
if you
Just
look at it that way.
just everything on top.
Sure.
And that's also on top of all the fun you had. of
Exactly.
having the
Yeah, it's
release.
about 5 hours of
7
fun.
well-
You get to keep what you buy. So
Friday was a little bit longer though,
Yeah.
because Friday,
So many people
well,
showed up.
technically Saturday morning, midnight, the midnight release, we had what 36, so 6 brackets or
6 rounds.
rounds.
So like
50
45 minutes of building your own deck, and then 6 rounds of about 45 minutes each round. So
Yeah.
and usually over because a lot of people.
Then if you have
slow
turns,
play.
if you have slower decks, which you will see more in limited, I mean that
I
is
went
certainly a strategy.
I went to
don't wanna
turns
deny
like
that.
3 out of the 6 times or something like that. I mean,
And that's
my deck ran
completely
pretty
fine.
well.
However,
Especially with
at
a new
3 in the
set.
damn morning, I just want to get the shit out, However, that is a honest to God strategy of
With the new
just
set,
slowing down the process until you can actually control the field.
Exactly. And as long as you're actually doing something, not just intentionally being slow.
Right.
It's, you know.
Well,
It's
also-
almost a state of game capture, not.
Well, also with the new set, a lot of people don't know these cards. They haven't looked it up online, what was coming out, so they're not used to. They got reread them because they forget what's in their deck because they
And interaction
interaction. Yeah.
with the cards and with new abilities.
New rules.
New rule sets. You have to determine how the stack flows, how things play off one another. Are they static abilities? Are they current abilities? Did you pull anything of value, or did you snag anything special?
Second pre-release Saturday during the day at 1, I pulled the other Planeswalker in the set, Chandra, the Flamecaller. She helped me win that day. It wasn't a big turnout. I think there was only like 14 people that showed up.
Still,
I
that's
thought you got it
decent.
out of your prizes. You got that to play with?
No, I got that in the release. I got to play with it, and it helped me win a couple games. So
Well, that would be an A bomb probably.
yeah, that's one of the bomb
Like,
cards that you get.
That's going to be a grade A bomb.
One that you make.
Bam.
You
Game changer. Completely can come back from any type of situation in all likelihood.
Yeah, that's the kind of card where you choose the commons and uncommons to build that color of a deck because you have this great of a card.
It actually it impacted your building that much, like that.
It definitely made me play this color. Like I was for sure playing red because I had this card. Because this card, as soon as I got it out, it was going to help me regardless of what situation I was in. This card has a lot of versatility. Draw cards, bring out creatures, and destroy creatures. So
3 very important skills.
3 very
Or
important
abilities,
abilities that occur in Magic.
Yeah, they're all really strong and limited. All those 3 abilities are extremely important and limited. And to have one card that does all 3, it just makes it, you know.
Specifically in limited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like those are 3 very key things. You have to be able to kill the creatures to control the battlefield. You've got to be able to draw cards because you're going to run out. That's just the way limited tends to play. And you, what was the other ability?
Creates creatures for
And it creates, yeah.
to deal damage to your opponent.
That's one thing I always struggle with is the number of creatures to put in a deck in limited.
Yeah.
Well,
You know.
I've rarely seen you play. Mostly when I see you play limited formats, you really just pack it full of creatures. I've seen you just outnumber quite
That's
a bit.
well, it's usually my goal because I've had so many decks where I end up at the end, of a draft or a limited, and it's 5 or 10 creatures in the deck total, and I have so many other cards that can build on it. It doesn't make sense with my play style. I don't control the battlefield as much as I think the two of you enjoy doing,
Yeah.
or are at least as flexible at doing. I don't have that versatility of the control aspect.
Well, control also requires you to have a common knowledge of pretty much the set. Just have a
Yes.
good overview of everything. Know what to cancel, what not to cancel, what to kill, what's not going to be a threat, what is going to be a threat.
And that's very hard to know at any pre-release. However, you can see a lot of decent cards within your limited set to snag in there. I just don't usually use blue.
One of the important things whenever a new set comes out, it affects the big 3. I would say the big 3 formats: standard, modern, and limited. So from now on, the store is going to be doing drafts every Friday night, probably with Oath of the new set, and then
At least the next 4 weeks.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
at least the next
definitely in
month,
the next
month and a
month,
half.
and then they might change it up a little bit. But to get the new set out and rolling, they'll be doing drafts every Friday, or Friday Night Magic. Then all these cards are in standard, so you're gonna see a lot of new decks, the meta changing a lot because of the new cards, and then all these cards right now are modern and won't be banned.
Well,
No chance of it. No chance of
Yeah.
any of it being banned for until the next set comes out. So-
Sure, all those changes just got rolled out with
Yep.
this one.
Yeah, so whenever a new set comes out, a new modern ban list, if there is any, will come out.
Which is one nice thing about the way Wizards does things is it's fairly consistent and mathematical as far
Well,
as
it's
their
consistent with its
changes.
balancing.
Yeah. And it was-
Also with its changes though, like if a set's coming out, there's probably going to be some stuff that's going to come with it, whether
Sure.
it's some bannings or
Well, that's what
maybe
make-
even bringing them back.
that's what makes this game so. Going on for 20 years now is that new sets just change the game. It keeps things fresh, and I think 4 years is a good time because after 3 months it kind of gets pretty. I would say decks start becoming really similar.
Well, that's why there's all different kind of game types.
Yeah.
If you like standard, if you like everything
Yeah,
changing
there's
out,
modern.
then yeah. Then,
But yeah, I'm saying that even with modern new decks come out, there's probably like every new set. There's probably 2 or 3 cards that you'll see be put into modern or tried out at least.
Mhm.
So it keeps modern fresh. Legacy and vintage are probably usually stuck on its ways, but that's for I would say a lot of
But
older
that's what
players
they
play
are.
that. Yeah.
But that's what they
That's
are.
what it is,
It's,
yeah.
it's just the nature of that beast. However, with this new set, are there any specific types of cards that you're looking for? Are there any or forward to using in your decks? As
Yeah, and for standard, which I play the most, there's a lot of cards. I don't know if I can name them all, but Chandra being one of them, Nissa being another one, are 2 for sure I'm going to try. For modern, I brought a card that I think we'll see play in a lot of the Tron decks, which is a lot of the colorless decks that involve the Eldrazi. It's called Kozilek's Return. Does a lot, I'm not sure if you can see it, but that's probably going to see big play in modern.
So, note to future self, cut this part. Take a picture of this, and they'll dub it in.
yeah.
Oh yeah, we can do all.
Yeah.
do that for
So
all
we'll
three.
just hold it up in front of the camera so they get a decent shot. We'll do it with all 3 of them, and then they can just overdub over that.
Can't wait for Chris has to edit this.
Yeah. Fuck you, Chris.
Fuck you, Chris.
And back in.
All right, should we talk about the new land type that they added?
That's
How it
what-
matches?
yeah.
That's where. All right. So that's where I was going. Was the basic stuff. Okay. So you had those things. What about you? What other options or what things are you looking forward to about incorporating from this set?
Like I was just saying, I feel like the new land that they came out is really going to change everything. Jake feels differently because it's kind of a colorless land, but they're kind of making this whole set play differently in modern because of the new
Sure.
required
Land.
colorless land.
Yeah, but it's not just.
Well, I would
like,
say
my
it depends
thing
on
is.
the spells you put in.
Yeah, but my thing is here. Like, if you're gonna add a new land, don't add a symbol and then say it's colorless. Like, we already have colorless mana. That's already a thing that's kind of built in.
Right.
I think it's just a criticism of that. Like, give me yellow or something else. It almost would have made more sense. It caused a lot of
I
confusion.
think-
Well, I feel like if they would have done that, they would have had to change it from here on out. You know, I feel like they did a good way. Introduce it, let it
Try it out.
try it out exactly. Let
Yeah,
people,
without adding a new color.
yeah, dip their feet in and see how it goes before they decide whether or not they want to keep it.
Truly,
Well,
the only time this is ever going to affect any deck ever is if you actually use spells that are only in this set that actually require colorless mana, like the new Kozilek. Other than that, no decks are going to be affected over the new symbol, over the new change. It's only
true.
it's only if you use spells that require that certain
That
only
almost-
colorless.
That almost makes it worse.
yeah,
Well, no, it's just. I mean, it's a standard. It's a set that they're changing things up in standard. It's a smart way to do it because they can try it out, see how it works out in a set that's played very often but doesn't affect the broader population. And then if it works out, they can continue it in future sets that will affect the rest of the game.
Yeah,
Sure.
but I mean, it heavily affects modern too because the best card that's supposed to be out is Kozilek, and since you have to run that one colorless required color, see, my modern deck doesn't run any of those. I do not have a way currently.
Well, I
to get
suppose,
colorless
but
mana.
really the
That's
only
a
modern
lot to
deck that
incorporate.
the only modern deck that would probably play it is Tron, and all their lands produce colorless. The Urzas
Yeah.
all produce colorless. So
Yeah, but I mean, are you really releasing a single card for a single deck? I mean,
well, I would say that
Well-
anyone who wants to use that card will find a way to use it and incorporate it.
yeah, but I mean that goes with any card.
Well,
And yeah, so I feel like by just forcing you to run certain lands is the same way same way of making it a colored card.
No, I don't think so. I really don't, because they're essentially saying there's this other 7th kind of mana. Like with the life symbols, they did something with those where it's like, okay, we get it. You can either pay 2 mana or 2 life or a mana of this color. they kind of incorporated it a little bit differently as opposed to this, where it really is another land type. I mean,
Well-
you can't really not say that because they made a basic land for it.
Yeah.
And that just means if you want to make those decks, yeah, you can incorporate all of these lands into it, sure, but did we really need that or want it?
I would say that with R&D and making new sets, you need to change things up. You need to take risks. I've heard them say that adding a 6th color is probably the worst thing they could do. So this is a way of kind of teasing, testing that without actually doing it. Like
Yeah,
you
but I
said.
mean, their motto has been very good up until now. I mean, they've only gotten stronger since they've released.
And if this doesn't work out, I don't think it's going to hurt at all. I think you just don't use the cards from this set. There's plenty of cards in this set that don't require colorless mana that can be
but
used.
not nearly as good.
What are you talking about? A lot of the cards that are colored don't. Coldslake's probably the only one. There's probably 2 maybe other cards that require colorless that would be played in standard. I can't see them playing in modern.
Yeah, see, in standard, but like, I mean, again, if you go back even just to modern, you know, you're cutting out. I mean, basically, I'm not going to be running Nissa in my modern deck, ever.
No,
And I wouldn't see Chandra ever being used in modern.
No.
So I mean, really, the only thing you
but then you have a card like this that doesn't require colorless mana that probably will see play in modern. You have a couple other colored cards in the set. I mean, it all depends on the set. Depends on the card. It's from modern, you can only expect 2 to 5 cards in a set to be actually relevant and competitive modern.
Sure, and I think that's a good point. And you know, you're right. It is limited in scope. They didn't go all out. They didn't add that 6th land like officially. They just slid it in there. There's not many cards that require that mana colored or colorless mana to produce it. So yeah, it was a rather low rollout, like the low risk is what I meant.
Yeah.
Rollout of that option. However, yeah, the modern now isn't necessarily affected, but I think what he's also saying is like this set, when it comes to future stuff, balancing with it in modern, the stuff that it adds right now, it really is ineffectual outside of that mana cost. Like, you have to use the mana to get the most effective stuff.
Right, and I would say
Into
that
the future sets, looking back, it's going to be interesting how they do it, 3-5 years from now. Is it going to be a set that matters, or is it going to be a set that
Well, yeah,
just
you
kind
always,
of gets washed
you always
away?
run into that. You always run into sets that really, you don't see any cards in it. I don't think I see any. Maybe one Dragon Maze card that sees play
Sure.
and anything.
even the lands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
even
don't
it's
get
like
much.
so. There's some sets that are just totally wiped out from the face of Magic that you don't really see anymore, and then there's some like old Zendikar, the old
Sure.
Zendikar block that sees a lot of cards.
Sure.
Innistrad. I feel like Innistrad's one of the
still-
newer ones that
Yeah, you see
It sees a lot of play.
Snapcaster Mage, Avacyn,
What about
Lily?
Ravnica?
Lily.
Well, Ravnica has all the
So they definitely have all the shocklands.
the shocklands. Yeah, that's
That's
such
the
a
big
big
contribution.
staple of everything. Really.
Well, land in general,
Yeah,
just
land.
good land in
Yeah.
general. I mean, that's one thing that you can usually look forward to in about every single release is that hopefully they'll make some good new rare lands.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that I always look forward to is like, oh, well, what are you going to do different with the lands this time?
And that's one thing I wanted to bring up. Like with this new colorless required mana, there are a lot of really good rare lands that produce it. So you don't have to run the basic wastes to produce it. There's a lot of old lands that produce colorless mana that works for it.
yeah, but most
so
of it's
it-
pain lands though.
No,
like, you're
I
hurting
mean, there's
yourself
the
to play.
Urzas, all the Urzas. No, the pain lands you
I
just have
guess
for colorless.
Urza's, yeah.
So
Pain
wait,
land, you don't have to pay life for it.
so I
but-
guess maybe I got this wrong and maybe we should clarify it. That colorless mana, I thought that it was a separate type of mana, separate from the colorless mana.
No, it's
No.
anything that produces a colorless mana. They're just symbolizing it now, because there's some cards that require colorless and not
Huh.
color generated mana. So
Aha.
like,
Do you
a
have
force-
Kozilek? Do you have a Kozilek?
I don't
by
have it,
chance?
no. But I have cards that do require it. But
Insert picture of Kozilek.
Yeah.
so but
Here is one.
there's some cards like the pain lands, like the battlefield forts that tap for colorless, or you can pay a life to tap for red or white.
There's an end.
So you can tap that for colorless, and that works. It's printed over and over again back in History of Magic. It works for colorless.
You don't have to draw.
So it's not necessarily bringing in a new land because it's already been here.
Pass the card. It's a game.
But it's more or less just symbolizing what we've already had.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Okay, so I think I've been raging because I was misinformed.
Sure, and a lot of people have. I think most important thing for the Magic community is, and stores, is to get this across of how this new colorless mana works, especially for sets like Modern.
That's true.
Well, especially for things like pre-release and release.
Yeah.
Like I built my deck and purposefully left stuff out because I was told it was a different type. You know, I'm not upset or you know, mad about it. It is what it is. But that's really important that you understand the new rules when you go into this stuff, and that you have someone who's able to explain it all, because there can be a lot of new things when you set stuff
Yeah,
up.
especially when a set like this throws in something completely new that no one's ever seen before.
Yeah, or changes something in a pretty drastic way.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? It's actually a land. Okay, that's different.
Well, I don't know. I feel like Wizards kind of does prepare you well. It
It's
gives you all the
not-
opportunity in the world to, you know, understand what is going on before
Sure,
what
and-
actually happens.
And I guess my point was, right now I'm not actually doing the research myself, so I'm actually, hoping that someone else will do it and then inform
Gary
me.
thinks secondhand.
Right, and it's not good. It's not a great way to go about getting your news. However, I think when new sets come out, it is important to have the discussion as a store or at the event of, hey, this is the new stuff that you're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would go a long way towards helping this stuff in the future
Definitely.
with just dealing with
Do you
rules.
know if the new Innistrad set has anything new coming out to it?
I've only seen one card spoiled for the next set, and it was already self-mill graveyard reincursion, so we can probably see a lot
The
of...
demon?
Huh? Yeah,
The
the
demon.
demon. So I'm not sure if they're going to bring flashback back into the mix. I imagine, since it's one of the most popular mechanics that we've seen in Magic.
Extremely popular.
Yeah, I imagine we'll see that again.
It stuck around for quite a while.
It did.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
and
It was heavily played too.
yep, and
Standard.
one of the most
I mean,
popular
it's
modern
modern.
cards, Snapcaster, produces it. So we'll probably see that again.
What's
Which
going to be
again-
interesting is what's going to do with the value of cards. Like, Snapcaster Mage, for one, it's like, what is it, $90 or something?
It's $65 right now.
$65? Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it does with the prices. Like,
Well-
I really want to see it plummet just so that I can get more.
Well, yeah, I think it was up
Sure,
to
yeah.
I think it was up to $80.
snag them all up.
Yeah.
It was up to $80, but the new Jace that came out in Origins is a really popular same mana cost, one blue, one colorless.
So it's a good replacement.
So it either a replacement or another one to fill up that slot. So it kind of brought the price down a little bit. So you always see cards that come out like Death Mist. I mean, not Death Mist.
Death
Snap.
Ray.
Huh?
No, go.
Snapcaster went up when a certain card got banned too.
Death
so
Ray.
Deathray Shaman, yeah. So. Can I remember the name?
Yeah, that's
Got
not
banned
fun.
pretty fast too. A little faster than I thought it should.
It got banned a hella fast, man. Like what?
Well, yeah, because
It wasn't even out of standard.
No, it was.
Was it out
was
of-
just out of standard,
Oh, it was just cycling.
just cycling.
Okay, yeah.
But
So-
it's only because it broke the game. It made everyone play black because you could get the Liliana on turn 2. Instead of banning Liliana, they banned the Death Ray.
Which they should do, because
Yeah.
Lily was already kind of a staple, and it wasn't a heavily played or overpowered staple to the game.
Yeah, it's definitely powerful, but
when one card has too much power to change a whole format.
yeah, and what Magic likes to do is see those powerful cards in play, but kind of ban the cards that help those powerful cards.
Well, not even help, but like that's a serious game changer. When you see a whole group of people run from being kind of separate to, oh, we're gonna all play this.
Yep.
And that's exactly
That
what's happening with
is-
Splinter Twin. That's why that got
Yep. Splinter Twin just
It was-
got banned this weekend.
It
as
was
well.
showing like 50% of
Of
people at
every
tournaments was
tournament, yeah.
running it. I mean, when you had that many people playing one certain
Yeah.
like archetype, it's
Not only
Not
is
healthy.
it,
it's not healthy.
it's not healthy for the game. There's no innovation. Everyone just runs to that staple and they're like, oh, that'll win me.
Exactly.
So, what's your guys' favorite set? I think I already know yours.
It's Innistrad, hands down. The old Innistrad, I haven't seen anything for this new one, but it's just werewolves, vampires, just everything amazing zombies. It's everything that's cool in like modern day.
Very old Victorian style
Yes.
of a world.
That
And-
was helpful.
Yeah.
It had a lot of flavor.
Yeah, it brought flavor of.
It had a story.
Yeah, that's kind of when story was really starting to really drive into Magic because it's becoming a real thing now. But it was nice them bringing kind of all these types of lore that we are familiar with and putting it into the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you've already seen
Things that are popular
you've already
nowadays.
seen zombies been made and vampires been made, but they made a whole world of it, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that was, and they had really good abilities and skills that went along with them as well, and the fact that you could make a tribal deck, and make a theme to your deck was helpful. I think that's when you guys started playing though, around that time.
Yeah, right.
I got in at the end of
You were at the end of
Innistrad, and you came in right after me. So
I got it in the next set, but so it was still playable. So
Yeah,
I
it
got
was
it.
still
You
standard.
still
It was still
quite a bit,
standard.
yeah.
It still seen play. I still played. Still drafted it. It was.
Oh, you
fun.
did draft it.
Yeah.
Well, you
Nice.
probably just played casual for your first
For a
little
while.
going. Yeah, that's what most people do. They just build decks.
Yeah, people play casual for I would say probably around a year until someone introduces them to more competitive Magic.
Well,
What's your favorite?
or they get comfortable enough to go
To try.
out
Yeah.
and get to the that new set of Magic or that new level. There's certainly a feeling when you walk through a store for the first time and you're like gonna play Magic actually for an event
With a whole bunch of people
with a
you
whole
don't
bunch
know.
of people you don't know.
Well, that's what I did.
That-
A week after I learned, I think James took me to pre-release, and it was fun. You learn really fast how good people are and
Yep.
how good you're not.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't get yourself down because
Or how much you don't know the rules.
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
takes a lot of practice.
That's a
and
specific.
It takes a lot of practice.
And
What's
what I think
your-
before that, I would just want to say one more thing. What I feel like new players should do more is ask questions. Don't be embarrassed to not know something and
Yeah.
not ask,
Yeah.
because
No, that's where local stores come in handy because usually the Magic community people who do know will answer them freely. They love to help. We want to get more people involved and better.
And
And
some
to
people-
build off that though, this is crucial. If you are a new player, tell us. Like just
Oh.
when you sit down, just say, "This is my first event." Please. I will play a totally different game because I want you to learn. I will take you step by step and show you, "Oh, this is why I'm playing this card right now." I don't care about my win in that game. I care more about getting that other person into Magic and making sure that they have a good experience. If you don't tell me, I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm going
I
all
will
out if you don't tell
assume.
me.
I will assume tournament rules.
well, I feel like this store in particular, Acropolis, everybody's really friendly here. You don't see a lot of jerks that are just out to win it all. Which I mean, you should.
Well, Jay.
you should.
And Adam.
You should
And
play.
Adam, the only reason you don't see them is because they're right here. They don't see themselves.
That's true. But
I
mean-
see them.
But I mean, still, I try to be as helpful as possible with newer players.
Sure.
I still try to get my win, but I do, try to keep it more competitive for them,
You're not going to give them all your information.
Exactly.
However,
You're
at
gonna
the
even
same
play them
time,
field, though.
you're going to tell them, and you're going to play different, and you're going to not expect as much when they're fumbling with their cards and going, "Oh, what do I do?" You're not going to be sitting across the table. Like, what is
Well,
this
yeah,
idiot
in,
doing?
in a tournament setting, you're going to give them information to help them out, but not enough to give them an advantage. I would say.
Right. Yeah, you're not
But-
going to give them the win. And I'm just saying I don't necessarily care about the win. I'm more of a casual player anyways. But if I am out at a tournament, yeah, sure.
But that's at tournament. But if you come in just on a regular day and just want to play Magic, we'll help you with everything.
You can borrow decks, borrow
Yeah.
dice, whatever you need. We'll
Yeah.
get you playing, really. So-
Yeah, there is a lot of friendly play here. That is one nice thing about this place. And it's generally available when you want it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just usually walk in and find a few people at any given time when the place is open
Mm-hmm.
working on decks.
Yeah.
I mean, typically. So that is nice, and it's good for the community that a place is here.
That's why I came here today is to work on, since the new set came out and got some new cards, is to work on some decks. So.
So we're gonna carve out some time.
What's your favorite set, Rip?
My favorite set, I would say it's Innistrad's a really good answer.
Well, what's your second favorite if it's not?
I don't
Innistrad?
think. Well, I don't think that it is Innistrad because I think it goes back a little bit further. I was more of like a Scourge Onslaught type guy. That's where I was really excited about Magic before this kind of phase.
When did you come in?
I first played Magic in Ice Age 4th edition.
Oh, wow.
So, I just out of curiosity, like Full Art Lands and stuff. Do you remember when those came out?
That's original Zendikar, also Unglued, which would have been the late 90s. And Unhinged, but yeah, it was available early on, but it was pretty much a niche thing, and a place like Adrian certainly wouldn't have seen anything like that in a store.
What made that your favorite set?
For a lot of reasons that you liked Innistrad, actually. They had a lot of tribal characteristics. It was one of the first times I'd seen soldiers and elves, and they actually had the slivers in there. That's where they came from. There was a lot of things like that allowed a variety of fun, aggressive aggro-style decks.
Out of curiosity, so that was when you were first a newer player, right?
No, that would have been the second or third time I dipped my toe back in the Magic pond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious. A lot of people when they first come in, they learn it and they love it.
I think
that's kind of why it's your favorite.
I think that's where you're going with, because I would probably consider Ravnica my favorite set, Return to Ravnica, because that's where I started. And the reason I liked it is because it's really based on dual colored decks. Like there's guilds. There's a guild for every two color combination. And immediately after all the guild colors came out, I made a deck for every guild. I made 10 different decks. They were good.
I think I already know the answer to this. What was your favorite guild?
Oh, my favorite. It had to involve blue. So it's either Dimmer or is it?
I figured it would be Dimmer.
I love Control.
He did like Dimmer.
I love Control and I love Mill, so it's probably my favorite. That's Black Blue, by the way.
Coincidentally, that's when I stopped playing Magic.
Yeah. Black Blue is straight up.
When the real jerks came out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Black
Like,
Blue-
mill half your deck.
Black Blue doesn't even play that many creatures. It's usually like
Yeah,
control,
tell me about it.
Kill creatures, counter your spells, do other stuff. That's
It's
what
all about I'm going to shut you down as an opponent, and I'm going to control everything you do. And that's fine. It's just not fun for me.
It's fun for me.
And,
It's
yeah,
not fun to play against.
No, it's honestly not.
Do
fun.
you have fun playing against it, Jake?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate playing against it. It's so frustrating.
But it is an honest strategy. It is an actual strategy to winning a game, and a lot of control decks played by the right people can have some really hot tournament value. I mean, but you have to have that knowledge to do it.
It tends to be like usually 1 or 2 control decks always in the top 8 of every tournament. And one of some kind of control deck.
Well, I just played Control Commander, and you kind of got upset with me, and it was coincidentally Black Blue.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
I
those
hate
are the
that.
best decks to play.
I hate that deck.
It's fast, controlling. It's hard to beat something that's like that.
Sure. Well, I think we're going to wrap up, but this was a great episode. Thanks, Jake and Adam, for your time, and have a great day.